Hey everyone, welcome back to another video of mine, where today we're going to be solving Leetcode problem 151 titled Reverse Words in a String. And so note that this is actually a very common interview question for technical interviews in Microsoft especially, and it actually has been asked at that company quite a few times, right? So with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and dive into the problem statement that says that we're given an input string S, and we have to reverse the order of the words within that input string S, right? And a word is defined as a sequence of non-spaced characters, and the words in S will be separated by at least one space. The key here is not exactly one space, but by at least one space, and so it could be one space or more. And it's our job or our task to actually deal with that. So we have to return a string of the words in reverse order concatenated by a single space. So although the words in our input string S could be separated by more than one space, the return of the string that we're actually returning must be separated with each word having a gap of only exactly one space. So note that S may contain leading or trailing spaces or multiple spaces between two words, and the return string should only have a single space separating the words as we talked about before, and we cannot include any extra spaces, and that's also applying to leading or trailing white spaces, right? There shouldn't be any in our returning answer, although there may be some within our input. So in example 1, to better visualize this, we basically have an input string S of the sky is blue, and in this case we're pretty lucky because each word is already concatenated by only one and exactly one single space or white space between every word, and there aren't actually any leading or trailing white spaces, and so we'd simply return the reverse of the string, which is going to be blue is the sky. Note that every single word is in reverse order, and they're each separated by one white space. And another key thing here is that we're simply reversing the order or arrangements or the serialization of which the words are actually formatted in, and not the actual letters in themselves within the word, right? It wouldn't actually reverse BLU and E within blue and I as in SKY and THE within is the sky, but we just simply reverse the order of these words and their appearance in the input string S, right? We wouldn't actually output EULB, SIYKS, HT, we'd simply output blue as the sky, right? Basically the words in the reverse order or opposite arrangement. So in example 2, we do have some leading and trailing white spaces, and we have to get rid of those and actually separate hello world with only one white space, which actually in this case it already is, and so we'd simply return world hello. Again, not OLLEH space DLROW, but just world hello, simply switching or swapping the order of the appearances of these two words within our input string S, and also removing the both trailing and leading white spaces. So as you can see, it says that the reverse string should not contain leading or trailing spaces. And in example 3, we have an input string S to be a good example. We don't actually have any leading or trailing white spaces, but we do have more than just one singular white space separating good and example, and we have to actually get rid of that and simply output example good A. Basically, opposite arrangement of the original arrangement or serialization of the words in our input string S. And it says we have to reduce the multiple spaces between two words to a single space in the reverse string. So for the constraints, we have the length of our input string S to be less than or equal to 10 to the power 4, which basically says that the number of operations that we can actually have for this program can be big O of n, because that would still be less than, per se, a million, right? But big N of O of n squared would be a little slow, and it wouldn't actually work. We'd probably get a TLE if we had big O of n squared. So also it says that S contains only English letters, uppercase and lowercase, digits, and spaces, right? These quotation marks denoted by spaces. So that's actually also important, as if you didn't have English letters and digits, this would get kind of weird, as of course we only want to deal with English characters. But yeah, and it says that there's at least one word in S, meaning it is actually a non-empty, essentially valid input string S. So I will give you guys a few seconds to kind of just go over this problem in your head, and although I know I did take quite a while to actually go through the examples and read through the problem statement, take your time, feel free to pause the video, and try to explore how this solution rather would actually work. Okay, so before we actually get into the solution, I don't know if you guys have realized or not, but I actually changed my microphone once again, and I don't know if this would be considered an upgrade. I think it's an upgrade, but feel free to just chat down below in the comment section of this video to actually determine and just tell me if this audio is better or the previous audio quality was better, right? And feel free to just be honest, because whatever works best and whatever makes it easier for you guys to actually hear what I'm saying, because I know that in a lot of my videos I either talk too fast or the audio quality does get cut off, or it becomes really poor at the end of the video, right? So how do we actually approach this problem? So I'll just tell you right now, for any of you Python users, for any of you non-Python developers, this is probably a pretty good medium problem, and it probably is going to be a very interesting problem for you. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably are going to take more than one line of code for any of you C++ or Java users. But in Python, the syntax is so simple and concise that we can really only do this in one line using the split method and the reverse method, and simply returning a string or using the .join method in Python. And we'll really do this like so. We really only need one line of code in Python, and we're simply returning the .join, or the string version, of basically s.split using the split method. And essentially what s.split does is it basically separates every single word within our input string s by exactly one white space, and then adds all those different words, or in this case elements, into a list or array, basically an iterable. And once we actually do that and call the split method, we'll actually use some list slicing, or in this case list reversing, using the ::(-1) method, and this basically reverses lists, right? That's essentially the use case of this syntax, right? However, if we were to submit this, this wouldn't actually work, because we don't actually have any separation between the words once we actually put them back in a string from our previous iterator or array using the .join method. And so what we have to do from there is, in our .join method itself, we actually have to add in another white space within the quotation marks to tell the Python interpreter, hey, we want to separate every single word from our iterator to our string by not just not just 0 white spaces, but by 1 white space. And so the way I'm going to do that is simply add one more space within the quotation marks. And as you can see, it's just about as efficient as you can get. And both runtime wise and memory complexity wise, this is going to be an O of N solution, because we actually have to put every single element reversed into a separate iterator, and we actually have to use an extra data structure for that. And worst case, we're going to be, not worst case, but every single case, we're going to be looping through every single element and actually reversing them in reverse order. And so that's also going to be an O of N runtime complexity, right? Taking 35 milliseconds to actually run, and taking 16.77 megabytes of memory. And yeah, it's really just about as efficient as you can get, like I said before. And yeah, so again, for any of you non-Python users, this probably will seem really shocking and really mind-blowing that you can actually do this so optimally and quickly in Python. But yeah, it really isn't too hard of any code, and probably for any C++ users or Java users as well, this shouldn't be too difficult. So once again, if you guys enjoyed this solution and understood this solution, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. It really does mean a lot. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.